Jim is well known as an extremely successful business entrepreneur in the region. Not only is he the owner of the globally recognized Newtown Athletic Club complex, the third largest privately owned lifestyle complex in the nation, he's also a real estate developer and supporter of business and entrepreneurial startups. In addition, Jim founded the Have a Heart Foundation, which raises millions of dollars for ALS research and other causes, as well as supporting advocacy work for the federal Right to Try law, which was passed into law and signed by President Trump on May 30th, 2018.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Jim was instrumental at the highest levels in the passage of this law, which will allow terminally ill patients in America to receive life-saving drugs faster. Jim is currently the chairman of the board of directors of IHRSA, which is the largest international fitness trade association in the entire world. Currently, there are over 200,000 health clubs globally, serving over 174 million members. So it's a big group. Yes. Yes. Jim has also been appointed to the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition by President Trump, and is currently serving with such luminaries as Herschel Walker, Mariano Rivera, Bill Belichick, Dr. Oz, and others. Always a political... I don't know where you stand on the Bill Belichick thing, but he's a really good coach. You gotta admit. Always a political aficionado, Jim became a Republican delegate to the 2016 Republican National Convention, proudly voting for Donald Trump. Amen. After that, he was asked to spearhead the effort to get Donald Trump elected in the PA congressional, what used to be the 8th district is now the 1st, at which time he founded the group People for Trump, which now has approaching 1,500 members. So, without further ado, let me welcome along with you Jim Worthington.
I'm kind of short, so I stand behind that. You might not see me. And by the way, thanks, man. There's nothing else to say, so I appreciate being here. I'll see you later. Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me out here tonight, Tom, for the invite. Nice to see some of our Bucks County people here. Barry Casper, who was also a delegate that ran on the same unendorsed ticket that we ran on to become delegates and to win in Bucks, the congressional 8th at the time. Proud to say that we were 2 of the top 3 vote getters out of 8 people when we ran for that delegate race without a whole lot of help from the establishment party. But that, you know that story as good well as I do. What it was like to get the president elected when he wasn't the endorsed candidate. He had a lot of headwinds in Bucks County and the congressional 8th, and we made sure that when it came time to give him that support, that both Barry and I raised our hands and gave our delegate vote, so I'm proud of that. But anyway, I'm proud to be here tonight.
Yeah, Jim, we wanted to talk. I mean, she did such a good introduction. I don't know if there's anything you want to add about your background, your business, your health center business, anything else you want to add. I mean, she covered it so beautifully, but if there's anything else you'd like to share.
Not a whole lot. I mean, I've been in the health club business 40 years. Most people know this particular business that I own. I happen to be involved in a number of other businesses, real estate, addiction recovery, a lot of different things. But this is really the platform that Linda and I have to be able to advance our advocacy work and our political stuff. We have, this particular club has 12,000 members. It's almost like a little city. So when you try to get support and you try to do good things, you already have a big base to work from. So it really is a platform for us to launch good legislation.
Thank you. So as a successful businessman, when did you begin to support Trump for president?
Well, this might be a little bit odd, but I was working out in my gym in January, the year the president was elected, and I saw a gentleman by the name of Ted Christian. Maybe some of you know him. He worked on the Trump campaign statewide, and I was kind of naive, and I said, you know, Ted, I know they're going to have the convention coming up, and I would love to be one of these guys that would go there and hold a sign up for one of the candidates. I said, my dad, who just passed away a few months prior to that, and I used to spend a lot of time in my earlier youth days living at home, and then afterwards he was a political junkie, watching these things, and I just said, man, I would love to go and just hold up a sign. It'd be so cool in honor of my dad. And he basically said, sure, you could do that. So I said, wow, well, sign me up. So a couple weeks later, he comes to me and says, you have to get 300 signatures. And I'm there like, no, I don't think I'm going to get 300 signatures. If you want 300 signatures, you get it. I just want to hold a sign. So about a week and a half later, I'm sitting in my office about 4:30 in the afternoon, and it looks out over the front entrance of the club. And my assistant comes into the club and says, Jim, we got a problem. There's 3 big guys out there trying to get signatures for the Republican Party, and the members, the Democratic members, of which we probably got more than half, are not happy about that. You know, what's your spin? And I said, throw them the hell out. They didn't ask me. So they go, she goes and she sends them on their way. I see them leave, and about 10 minutes later I get a call from Ted Christian. He says, Jim, what the heck's the matter? So what do you mean what's the matter? You just threw out guys getting signatures out there. And I said, yeah, they didn't ask me. Hey, Jim, they're getting them for you. And they're like, oh, God. So I threw them out. A couple weeks go by, and I see Ted down at the gym again. I said, Ted, by the way, what the hell do I need signatures for? He goes, Jim, you need signatures to run. I said, run for what? Because you got to run for delegate. It's an election. And I'm there like, you're kidding me. I never ran for anything in my life. Well, that began the next stage. I went to Linda and said, hey, we got to run a campaign here. And before you know it, we ran a campaign, and we got almost 48,000 votes out of whatever. I think the next guy was a county commissioner, got like 38, and Barry got like 35,000. I said, this isn't so hard. Chris, we didn't even know what we were doing when we won that election. And people, so that's how I got involved, really. And then I went and cast my vote with Barry. And after it was done, people, I guess, assumed as a delegate, once you cast your vote, I mean, you're done. There's nothing else to do. But we kept getting these calls like, hey, you're a Trump guy. You need to help us. We need to get him elected. And then we were bombarded, and I felt this obligation to say, all right, well, look, I guess we'll take this to the next level. And it was really as simple as that. The next thing you know, we organized. We got a lot of these good people at this table involved, and we started holding events. And before you know it, by the time we got to the day, D-Day, we had 1,500 volunteers. And honestly, Linda Mitchell, I get all the credit, but she does 95% of the work. You notice though, she's not wearing white tonight. I didn't let her wear white. No white. But anyway, that was a long-winded answer to your question, but I thought the thing was interesting because, we came with no background, and here we were, able to get people involved, but just being enthusiastic.
I got to go to this rally, and I was so impressed, but how did you get Trump to your facility? That was an amazing feat.
I had the largest venue probably in that congressional district that they could hold. When we had first got involved, Linda and I realized that this was an opportunity for us to get some influence on a bill that we were trying to get passed called the Right to Try. And as I explained earlier, the Right to Try allows people with terminal illness to have access to experimental drugs. The president mentioned the other night, I don't know if you saw that. Well, that was our bill. And that was our bill along with 3 or 4 other families. It was really, we got that bill passed, it was 4 families in the United States and the Goldwater Institute. But Anyway, we were working on that thing for like a year in advance, going down to Washington, you know, the whole 9 yards. And I decided to use that as leverage. So I put it out there and said, look, you know, if the president or the candidate Trump wants to come here, we need 20 minutes of his time to give him the pitch on the right to try. And that was no way we were going to do it if he didn't give us. And he gave us 20 minutes before. And it was a pretty intense, really unbelievable game changer, because at the time when we met with the president, or president-elect before that, Matt Bellina, who's my friend, it's one of the 4 people the bill's named after, was in a wheelchair. He has ALS. I think there might be a picture of him in one of the things. It didn't already come up, I'm not sure. It'll come up. Okay, and we met with the president, Lynn was there, and we explained to him what the right to try was. He had never heard about it. And we explained to him, you know, the importance of it. Dying people don't want to go to a foreign country to save their life. You know, why would an American be denied the right to try to save their life? And I'll never forget this, because it was really telling about the president. We went through the whole thing. By the way, I've met him a number of times. Great guy, really good listener. As much as you see him like dominate when he's up on stage, he's very focused, and he's a big dude. While he's looking down at me, but very intense and very eye contact, not looking around. And I remember Matt in the wheelchair sitting there, and you kind of get to the end of the conversation. After 15, 20 minutes, you start to lose, you know, like, what do we say next? This guy could be the president, right? And Matt looks up to him, real nervous, and said, Mr. President, or Mr. Trump, this will poll well, meaning and Trump looks down and he goes, I don't give a goddamn what it polls. It's the right things for Americans. And then I knew that was my guy. So, and he meant it. There's no, one thing about him, and you guys can see there's not a whole lot of BS that goes on with him. He just lets it rip. And I knew then that was a guy we really had to support.
Was that the start of the People for Trump?
Yeah, I mean, People for Trump started probably in July, a couple weeks after the convention in Ohio, in Cleveland. I kind of made a little bit of a mistake when I was running for delegate. I took full-page ads out in the newspaper with my telephone number and said, if you have any questions, call me. And I put it out in everything I could, and then we got bombarded by social media. I'm pretty accessible even in my club, so before you knew it, you know, we had all these people saying, like, what do we do next? They were anxious to get the president, you know, Mr. Trump elected. They wanted to work. They were enthusiastic. They just didn't have any way to do it, and we just basically said, okay, I guess it's incumbent upon us, Linda. We can't go this far and stop. So that's how it formed.
The Lehigh Valley Tea Party is committed to the protection of individual rights. We understand that you fought an individual's right to try experimental drugs, and then we already asked you that question, so you already went into that, I guess. And
yeah, the only thing I would tell you about that.
You can add anything to that.
Yeah, there's Matt now. That's when we're meeting. You see how big he is? Either that or I'm really little. I don't know. But I'll tell you a story about Matt in a second, because that was 2 years ago, and he looked great there. He's probably 40 or 50 pounds lighter today, but in regards to the right to try, just to give you an idea, when you hear that there's a swamp in Washington, Lynn and I have spent a lot of time down there. Trust me, it absolutely is. So when we were walking the halls for the right to try, and more recently for another bill called FIT, we would get basically our doors shut in our face on the Democratic side. And we couldn't figure it out at first, and then after a while, we came to the conclusion, Big Pharma is the biggest lobbyist group down there, and even though you would think that they would be in support of something like that, they were vehemently opposed to the right to try. And the Democratic Party was in their pocket, particularly Jersey and California. So one of the things that they used in all the hearings and all the things to try to get the right to try passed against us was that we didn't want to give any American false hope. And it was so so distasteful to people that were dying, not just ALS, of cancer. Can you imagine someone saying that you're not smart enough to make a decision that you would want to use an experimental drug because you don't know better and we don't want to give you false hope? I mean, it's crazy. So, anyway, make a long story short, we finally did get that passed and signed by the president. I guess it was May 31st of last year. And now, ironically, now we have another battle, which is, where's the funding come from? Now, all Americans have the right to try. Anybody here has cancer, whatever somebody that's terminally, now has the right to try an experimental drug. But the problem is the insurance companies aren't going to pay for it. And on top of that, the Democrats are still fighting it because they don't want to see legislation go that will allow any funding in general for this. So now we got to go battle number 2 is to try to find a way to get funding for it. Now, Matt, ironically, a month ago, an Israeli company called Brainstorm, he was able to access the drug, and he was it's called Moron, and he was the first person in the United States to be able to be treated under the right to try stem cell. And as of 6 weeks ago, he completely was immobilized. Couldn't even move his hand other than maybe a little texting on his phone. He couldn't even raise his hand this far. Completely paralyzed. As of yesterday, he was pulling himself out of the chair, his wheelchair, to do exercise. By the way, Navy pilot, when we started this fight, Navy pilot, I get emotional when I talk about Matt. 31 years old, 3 boys. Such a sad thing when your government, a veteran, they wouldn't come to help him, and the Democrats would tell him, we don't want to give you false hope. They would say it to his face when he was in Washington speaking in front of the Senate or the House. It was despicable. They are what you think they are. It's sad. It really is sad.
So can you tell us what we can do to help you support, or what we can do to support what you're just talking about here? You're now advocating for personal health investment.
Yeah, well, this is another bill that we got. Now that I'm on the President's Fitness Council, the President is really an advocate of youth sports. He's a competitive guy. I know everybody talks about it's just his golf game, but he was a baseball player back in the day. And he was an athlete, and obviously he's a big guy. He really wants to see youth sports participation increase because in the last 7 years it's decreased from kids the age 13 and up 45% down to 37%. And there's a million reasons for that. A lot of it has to do with phones and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, the kids aren't active. Now that's kind of his passion. My passion is just to get everybody moving, all kids. I'm not so much think you have to be in organized sports as much as you need to just get moving. And that's what my life's work's been, making a difference, getting people moving. I believe exercise is medicine, and the more that even if you go take a walk, you don't have to be a member of a health club. But the Fit Bill, what it does, it allows people to use HSAs, health savings accounts. You may or may not know what they are, where you can put tax-free money aside, pre-tax dollars aside to be able to pay for. Here's somebody knows to be able to pay for your medical bills, your prescription medicines and stuff like that. Well, I believe, and the people behind the Fit Bill believe that that's really not the answer. The answer is to do proactive type things. Let's not let people get sick and treat them. Let's find a way to keep them healthy. And honestly, exercise really is medicine. If you look at all the different things that exercise does in terms of reducing cancer, diabetes, all the things, the key is to get moving. And that doesn't matter when. It can be when you're 10, 20. You can start working out when you're 80. But the key is to get moving. And it's amazing that if you incentivize people to be able to use these HSAs and FSAs, there's 80 million people that have them. If they can use them for their kids' sports leagues, you know how expensive kids' sports are these days. So you give a family that, a few kids a tax deduction, a third, off the cost of these type things, nutritional programs, health club memberships, nutritional things, which I said earlier. There's a $4, for every $1 upfront a tax credit, there's a $4 savings on the back end. And I mean, to me as a businessman, that's an easy one to do. If I can spend $1 and get $4 back, I mean, I do it all day long. But I mean, if I can spend $1 and get 15 cents back, I'd be happy. This is a $4 saving on the back end. And let's be honest, the healthcare crisis is strangling our country. And the only way to do it is not to just keep giving people more drugs, it's to prevent them from getting sick in the first place. So that's been my life's work, 40 years, and this just coincides with my life's work. And I got a real ally in the President's Fitness Council. Herschel Walker's been working on this thing for 10 years. I got in the game with Linda about a year and a half ago. 8 months after we got involved, we got, for the first time ever, a vote in the House. We got it passed 277 to 142 last July. So it passed the House. We were getting it to the Senate, and then you had the Capitol dysfunction, the elections, losing the election, hoping to get it done in the lame duck, government shutdown. We never got a vote in the Senate. So the way it works is you got to start over again. Now we're reintroducing the bill in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a Democrat kind from Wisconsin that is the main sponsor. We have a sponsor from Missouri, Jason Smith. We start the ball rolling again. We think we'll get through the House because a fair amount of those people have stayed, kept their seat as much as it's flipped. The House is flipped Democrat. There's enough people there that we'll be able to get that. The key will be the Senate. We'll be able to get the Senate to do something. So that's what the FIT bill is all about. Sorry, I know. Pull me off if I'm going too long.
You're good on time.
Okay.
We're good on that. Looking at 2020, there was nothing more important than the re-election of Donald Trump. Lehigh leadership wishes to coordinate with people for Trump so that the Lehigh, Northampton, and Bucks counties might share plans, people, and technology in support of the Trump 2020 campaign. Do you think this is a possible?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't get out here alive if I said it wasn't. Look at this crowd. They're carrying guns.
Many of them have guns.
Yeah, we're all in favor of working with you. Hell yeah, why wouldn't we? You guys are passionate, you care about your country, you got a lot to offer that we can learn from. I think we got a couple of things that we might be able to help out with. You're darn right. And honestly, I'm a big picture guy. Linda's the person that does the other things. I see this be the first step in not only us working together with you guys, that we get together with all the other people in the state and get a coalition of people that like you guys throughout the state, and we can be the people that get to the next level. And by the way, nothing for nothing, we already have a contact, Jim O'Connell in the White House, who's the regional director of Pennsylvania and other things, that there's a handful of people through the state who picked to work directly with the White House. There was 3 or 4 other ones. To be honest with you, it happened shortly after the election. And other people that got on the call got so stuck in the weeds with the guy, Jim O'Connell, he said, off the record, I'm done with those people. I just want to talk to you, because they would get on the phone and talk about policy and all these things that you're not going to affect. The only thing we can affect is get people to register to vote, get people to be part of our group, to volunteer, to knock on doors, to make phone calls, man the polls. And as passionate as you are, and this is what we tell our group, don't go out and argue with people about policy. You're not going to change anybody's mind. You know what? You're not going to change anybody's mind. And the other thing is, don't denigrate the other side. Then you play into their trap. Be respectful. You can disagree with them and talk policy, but when you start getting in arguments with people and name calling on, it just ruins your message. So what we do is we keep it simple, because I'm not that smart. So what we do is we work on the major things, which is, again, voter registration, recruitment, making sure we have the manpower when the time's needed to say, hey, we need 10 people here, 5 people there. And I understand you guys do that too, which is wonderful. So look, I think together we form a great team because you guys are much more organized in your groups, your small groups. We don't have that. That's something we certainly would like to explore based on what you've done. And we're all ears, so we can learn a lot from you guys. But absolutely, figure as of tonight, we're a team. We're a team. We're a team.
All right, you see the question here. He wants to know if you want to do
I'm up for a picnic. I mean, come on, who's not up for a picnic? Yeah, but you name a spot, time, whether it's a picnic or anything, we're all about that. You know what's funny, when we came up here, I guess Nockamixon's kind of right in the middle, right? It's not a bad ride. Heck, look at a handful of people who drove up tonight. By the way, the people sitting here tonight are these are our like true blue, in the weeds, hardworking. We've got, look, every group's got, you know, people that are really, really committed. They're certainly not the majority. I mean, you guys here tonight represent the people that really care. I mean, I got a solid group of people that really care. We got a lot of people that are there. But these people that care are so invaluable, and they're the ones, those ground troops are the ones that really make the difference. So all you guys that came out here tonight, you're the difference makers. You're the ones that are going to get Donald Trump reelected. Trust me, it's not the people sitting home on social media, Facebook. It's you people that took the time to come out tonight. So I'm going to thank you, not just for me, but for those guys here. It's awesome that you came out and listened to a tired old guy like you tonight. Thank you.
All members to join the People for Trump, and if so, how do we go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any problem that we, because we, who knows what the next election will hold. I mean, we may find, and we had a lot of this come down, we had a lot of people come over from Jersey that helped us in the congressional aid. We were one of those real close purple districts. By the way, we were the only suburban Philadelphia district that went Trump. We won by a quarter percentage point. And it's funny, I ran into Kellyanne Conway on the South Lawn at a congressional picnic, and I got a chance to talk to her. And I don't know if you guys know, she was across the river in Jersey. She actually worked for a member of mine, a guy named Bob Pernetti. And when I saw her, said, hi, Kellyanne, Jim Worthy, blah, 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 blah. Bucks County, we won for, the president, the congressional issue. She was like, Jim, I knew that. I said, oh, really? Why did I said, I'm a pollster. That's what I did. She was a pollster. I'm not that much into the thing. Oh, really? And like, she was surprised, like, I didn't know that. But, so I guess my point is, we may find that maybe we need to bring people up to support you guys. You guys may come down for us. Who knows where the battleground's going to be? But wherever it is, we can mobilize our people to help you, and you can mobilize to help us. As far as I'm concerned, as of right now, we're a team. So, like, if you want to get on that, Linda Mitchell's the person that will do that. Every phone call, that's my number over there, but I'm going to give her number. So let me tell you this, those kidding aside. I'm not sure what I could do if you called me. I take calls at 1 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. When we did the Right to Try, remember that there was global interest in that because other countries wanted to see if America would be able to change their policy. And people would want to come here that were sick in other countries that didn't have access. I would get calls at 4 o'clock in the morning from Germany, saying, hey, now, unfortunately, sometimes they spoke German, so I didn't know what the hell they were saying. But my line is open anytime for questions, suggestions, anything you can do to help the cause. I'm all ears, so I try to be accessible.
I can promise you no one's going to call you after like 10 o'clock tonight. Folks, look at the crowd here. We're all in bed by then. All right, so if you received a text message thanking you for checking in, you can reply to word Trump, and our system will send you a link to sign up on that page. So all of you members that get text messages to say welcome tonight, do that, and then you can follow. That's a good way to do it real quick and easy.
Listen, I spent enough of your time. Thank you. Again, I look forward to this partnership going forward. I can tell you my people, some of them are here. They're just like you, salt of the earth, great people. It's funny, when I pulled up here and I was walking up the steps of Tom, my mom grew up in a little town in Montgomery County called Lansdale. And we used to go to the VFW in Lansdale, right? The Italian American Club. And I swear to God, this is it. And they were the best times of my life. And you people are my people. And trust me, I'm just a small town guy from Prospectville, Pennsylvania, Montgomery County. And life's been good to me. And that's what, and because it's been so good to me, it's really my obligation to give back. And that's what we do. That's what Linda and I are all about. And just to be in a room full of real Americans, trust me, the honor's mine. Thank you.
We have a couple minutes. If you could take any direct questions from the audience. I see there's a couple hands. Would you be willing to?
Yeah, at least give me one question. Make me feel like you listened.
How many members did you lose at the club?
Oh, great question. I love that question because Barry asked me earlier, right? So, ironically, on this campus that's 25 acres, the field house, which Tom, you were at, is not part of the health club membership. It's a sports training center, so you play soccer and hit baseballs and all this crazy stuff. But as a member of the Newtown Athletic Club, the NAC, you had no access to that. It wasn't part of your membership. So I had the rally there, 4,000 people out inside, 4,000 people outside, and immediately within a day, the people that just feelings got hurt, go figure, decided they were going to leave the club. So my membership experience, that's my director of customer service, like a concierge/hospitality person came to me. She says, well, what are we supposed to do? I said, well, what you need to do is you need to tell the people that if they decide to terminate, no problem. That's the right as an American citizen. And I'll let them out of their contract. However, I have the right as an American citizen to host anybody who I want on a neighboring property that has nothing to do with this club. So I'm going to reserve the right to tell them that they're never coming back to the club, ever. So, she told me. So about 5-6 when I love this, just, God works in weird ways, and I always kind of get my last shot at people. So like 6 months later, I always work out 8 to 10 in the morning. Barry, you got me this morning, I answered for you, but I usually don't. So it was 8 to 10, and working out, and the member experience person comes down and says, Jim, we got a guy upstairs that canceled his family membership. And I said, oh, okay, I'm working out. Well, a lot of people cancel their membership. What's the problem? Well, they canceled because of Donald Trump. I said, well, end of story. I'm going to work out. So I started working out again. She leaves. Comes back a few minutes later. She says, Jim, there's a problem. It was his wife that terminated. I said, well, that's not a problem to me. Tell him to talk to his wife. I mean, what the hell's her problem? So he goes, no. It was his wife, but now they're getting divorced. And I said, I'll tell you what. He can come back, but you have to say this word for word. You have to go back to him and say, Jim said it was the best decision you ever made in your life. I let him back in. True story.
Thank you. And we wanted to know, is there anything being done with the voter fraud in the state?
Well, that came up earlier.
Illegals.
Yeah, that came up earlier. Gentleman, back Bill, right? Yeah, back there that we were having a bite to eat downstairs, and he brought it up, and that's kind of where you guys are probably further ahead that you can help us, because you're into the real, things that are going on per se. Now, I'll be honest with you. We've got the reach, we've got the connections to look at things that you bring up. And Linda put that on her list. That's something we're going to explore tomorrow to see whether that's through the White House with Jim O'Connell or, my congressman or Mike Kelly from Pennsylvania, that's, the congressman from out west and some of the people. I'm going to see Pat Toomey on the 27th. So these are the things you can help us with. And we could be a conduit to help you guys, find out the answer to those things. Again, I'm not the smartest guy, but I got a lot of contacts. That's the one thing I bring to the table. So yes, we're going to look into that. Good question.
We have a little bit of time for maybe one or two more questions right here.
Hi, Jim.
What's up there, buddy?
I'm from Bucks County, of course.
Yes, you are.
I just wanted to mention that I was helped running the call center for
Yep.
Donald.
Yep.
We had people coming in from Connecticut and Upper New York, and they stayed overnight. There was a lot of
Yeah.
door knocking, calls, whatever.
Well, it was funny. We were talking about money earlier that pours into. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've been in the health club industry a lot of years, but the reason why the president appointed me, besides that I have a little bit of a background in something that he was passionate about, is the congressional aid now the first is really a litmus test in a lot of instances for the entire country because it's such a purple congressional district. We had film crews from India, Germany, I can't tell, all over, everywhere, coming in to see people for Trump media, Milo, Vanessa, they were all interviewed multiple times. I mean, we were the battleground because it represented a real, if you look at Bucks County from top to bottom, it really goes Republican down to like Democrat at the far end and everything in between. And it really is I don't know if you guys know this, we talked earlier, there was each candidate, Wallace spent $14 million in the last congressional race and lost. A lot of it is no money. And Fitzpatrick, I never got it totally out of him, but I think he spent damn near close to that. So it is a real battleground. So we're in a spot where it gets a lot of national attention, and that's one of the things we leverage when we try to get things done. So yeah, how many times, Vanessa, did you get interviewed?
A lot.
A ton. We made sure the people on the ground, they would talk to people, we made sure, and Linda was great at this, making sure the people on the ground, our workers, they got, Jimmy, those people, they got, exposure to this, because they're the ones that were doing the work.
It was historic.
We have one more question.
But before you ask that question, just as a comment to that, the Lehigh Valley, Northampton, and Lehigh counties have been called the swing counties in the swing state. And so that's, I think, so much of what we have in common with Bucks County is that demographics of this district now, the 7th, is so, it's just like what you're describing in Bucks County. And so I think that momentum with that population base of those 3 counties will be a great momentum.
Hey, the way I see it, it's just one straight line up. We're working with, we're just one big group now.
One final question.
So my question is, was it a conscious decision to just...
Hold on 1 second, I can't see where it's coming from. Oh, there you go.
I
Sorry.
mean, you just basically bypassed all the problems, all the Republican Party and all
Yeah,
So
we're noticed for that.
Was that a conscious
Yes.
decision?
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Look, I have nothing personal against the chair of the Republican Party in Bucks County. Ironically, a business partner of mine, believe it or not, is the chair of the Democratic Party in the congressional first, John Krabisco. Go figure. He's actually not as bad as guy, as you would think. He's just stupid when it comes to his political thing. I tell him all the time, but Pat Roberts, nice lady. They wanted John Kasich. There was no bones about that. At the end of the day, that was the reason I threw my hat into the ring and Barry, for sure. We teamed up, along with one other guy that was kind of weak. I can't even remember his name. He didn't do anything. And Barry and I worked our ass off, and we felt that the congressional Bucks County GOP was going to do what they wanted no matter what. That was the fear back then. So what we do is we run parallel course with the GOP, the Bucks County GOP. We work with them. We supply a lot of their volunteers, but at the end of the day, we maintain our autonomy to make our own decisions. And we have a great working relationship. Frankly, we were the reason why Trump won the congressional 8th. They didn't throw us a big party at the end. In fact, they didn't even invite us to the party, but we didn't care. Because at the end of the day, it was we knew what we got. I had my own damn party. And we had 1,500 people the night of the election in my gym that watched the thing in my gym. And they stayed at 4 in the morning, by the way. They stayed all night long. So, yeah, I don't worry about things like, if I give you one message, I'll get off the stage. We don't worry about things you can't control. The only thing you control is getting people to register, getting people to sign up for this great group you've got, getting people to volunteer, and when it comes time to deploy people, you do it. Because everything else is just noise. It's white noise, arguing with this person on social media, your neighbor, attacking your neighbor next door about the views. It ain't gonna do anything. Just get out and work. Keep your eye on the prize, eye on the victory, and at the end of the day, you'll outwork them. You'll outwork them because you're passionate. And that's the only message I would give to you. You know what? The ground game, like Barry said earlier, is what won it for Trump in Pennsylvania, and we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. Thank you, guys.